Today is Wednesday, the 9th of June. And during this pause and listen, we're going to reflect on the practice of Sabbath rest. In 1 Corinthians 10:31, Paul encourages us that in whatever we do, we are to do it all to the glory of God. And then in his letter to the church at Colossae, he says basically the same thing twice in chapter 3. In verse 17, whatever you do in word or deed, do all to the name of the Lord Jesus. And then in verse 23, whatever you do, do your work heartily as for the Lord. Several years ago, a leader of a Christian life skills seminar that I attended suggested that one way to apply those biblical commands was to work hard, play hard, and rest hard. And he thought those three categories pretty much encompassed all of our life. And the first two, work hard and play hard, I kind of immediately understood and agreed with. But the third, at first, was a little bit confusing. Rest hard. Those two terms don't seem to belong together in the same sentence. But they do in this application if we think of resting hard as meaning deliberately resting, intentionally taking a break, being fully engaged as we rest undistracted, staying focused, resting deeply, totally immersed. In other words, we don't rest as an afterthought. We don't mix rest with work and still consider it rest. Resting mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically calls for a break. Stopping what we were doing and intentionally doing something very different long enough to be refreshed. Most of us have developed a work ethic, and hopefully a good one. We try to teach our kids to have a good work ethic, and good work ethic is noticed and rewarded in places of employment, so we pursue living and working with a good work ethic. But do we have good or healthy rest ethics? A healthy rest ethic applies to all areas of life. And we may get enough sleep to be physically refreshed, but do we also rest so that we are emotionally and mentally and most importantly, spiritually refreshed? We can be physically refreshed and be depleted in another part of our being. And then the problem with that is sooner or later the depleted area will begin to have a negative impact on other parts of our personhood. And the wonderful thing about Sabbath rest is it's a rest designed by our Creator to provide refreshment for the whole person in all areas of life. So what would a healthy rest ethic look like for you? What rhythm of life would be refreshing for your soul? What activities could you do during that day of rest that would replenish and restore? What could you stop doing so that your whole being would be renewed? As you pause and enter into a time of listening today, listening to the Lord for revelation and guidance about this whole area of rest, let this promise from God carry you forward with hope and anticipation. And here's the promise from Hebrews 4, 9 through 11. There remains, it's still there for you. There remains, therefore, a Sabbath rest for the people of God. For the one who has entered his rest has himself also rested from his works, as God did from his. Let us therefore be diligent to enter that rest. So take a few moments now just to pause and listen to the Lord and ask Him, what would a healthy rest ethic look like for you?